Hello everybody, thatmidgamer here, back for another video. Now in today's video we'll be covering the Pokemon Red and Blue / Yellow Creepypasta known as Buried Alive, or the Berry Man script / the Buried Alive model. Now this model is in the code of the first of all the original Pokemon games, like Red, I think Green, I think there is Blue and Yellow, all of them. And the model was meant to be found on the final story of the Pokemon Tower. So after you've beaten the Elite Four, I believe. And what it was has been replaced by the Pokemon Marowak, the evolution of Cubone, or the ghost of Marowak, according to the scripts assigned to it. The Buried Alive model was intended to be the boss of the tower, so it's pretty cool. The Buried Alive, or Berry Man script, whatever you want to call it, for simplicity, I'll be calling it Buried Alive. It appears to be a rotting corpse of a person of an unidentifiable gender and age. So as this is Pokemon, I'm guessing sort of like young teenager, as like everyone in Pokemon is about like 10, roughly about that anyway. They crawl from the depths of the ground with sharp nails, painfully thin in physique. There doesn't seem to be any pupils on the sprite either. Instead, Buried Alive has pure whites for their eyes, sort of like a ghost or a zombie. The mouth is also open in what could be described as a permanent scream. Now, the story of Buried Alive is quite interesting. According to the scripts assigned to it, the Buried Alive model was intended to be the boss of the tower. Once reaching the top floor, the following conversation would take place. "You're here, I'm trapped, and I'm lonely, so very lonely. Won't you join me?" After this, the battle would have been initiated. Once in the battle view of the game, the Buried Alive model appears to be a decaying human corpse attempting to crawl out of the ground. It's been programmed to have two white hands, a Gengar, and a Muck. Strangely enough, a protocol for the Buried Alive's actions after it's defeated were not written, making many believe that Game Freak didn't intend for this to be beaten, sort of troll boss, if you will. Sort of like at the beginning of Jedi Fallen Order when you fight the second sister. That's all I can think of. I'm sorry, I haven't played many games. That's the only game where you can't defeat the boss, if you get what I mean. Well, not until Darth Vader kills her, obviously. In the case the player would defeat him, the game would freeze. However, a specific ending was written by an unknown programmer upon losing the battle. In this ending, Buried Alive was have to stated, "Finally, fresh meat," followed by several lines of gibberish. He was to have then dragged the player into the ground surrounding him. The scene would finish with a typical game over scream. Over in the background, an image of Buried Alive's character model slowly devouring the player was to have been shown. What is especially strange are the protocols for after this image. The cartridge was to download this image into the small internal memory contained by the Game Boy, overwriting the title screen that normally accompanied a Game Boy turning on. Instead, whenever it was started, the player would have viewed this image as the sound file staticmesh.wav was played. The intended purpose for this effect, unlike many of the other factors leading towards Lavender Town Syndrome. If you don't know what Lavender Town Syndrome is, it was where I don't know what Pokemon game it was. I think it was the originals. I don't know. But in Japan, when the player would enter the location in game of Lavender Town, a certain pitch would play of like music, and if you've done year 8 like science, I think it's either science or music, you'd know that as you get older you start to lose the ability to listen to different types of like music and stuff like that, different pitches, which is why, and this is similar with animals, like dogs can hear more high pitches than us, but the music that would play would only be able to be listened by a small child round about between the ages of, well, between the ages of 0 and around about 12. And then this music that would play would slowly drive the person who listened to it insane, sadly leading to the suicides of a couple of people. This is now this is like similar to Buried Alive. They're similar because the purpose of this is unknown. Obviously, why would Game Freak, a company, well, Game Freak is a Nintendo company, and Nintendo are sort of targeting the audience of like young children. I know, obviously, a bunch of like morbidly obese fanboys will tell me, actually, Mario could be played by all age groups, and I know that, but obviously a child is more likely to play Super Mario Brothers rather than Dark Souls, if you get what I mean. But so it leaves it up in the air. Why would Game Freak typically want to scare away their their target audience? As a business decision, this does not make sense. However, I believe it may be something more sinister, like the Lavender Town Syndrome. This was in a very early Pokemon game, obviously on the Game Boy. So I believe maybe because obviously this was not reported by every Game Boy or not every cartridge, so I believe there may be some sort of issue with the earlier Game Boys and Game Boy cartridges. Anyway guys, if you did enjoy the video, please hit that like button and subscribe. Also, this is quite a long video for me. So I'm sort of experimenting instead of just explaining a horror trend like Serbian Dancing Lady. I was going to sort of explain a creepypasta, if you will. Which, if you are interested in me doing more of this stuff, please hit that like button. And there's now 121 of you legends, so thanks for that. And if there is anything else you want me to cover, please leave it in the description below, or not in the description, sorry, in the comments below, and I'll make the video. I need video ideas anyway. So yeah, see you guys. Bye.